So today I'm going to be discussing Goodbye Lucy. But before I get to the video, I just gotta say that if you guys are interested, go ahead and subscribe to my gaming channel. I will leave a link to it in the description down below. There will be a video over there dropping today about me discussing what the nature of that channel will be about and everything I'm going to be uploading over there. So if you guys want to support me and just see me grow, another channel of mine's grow, I mean, thank you all for supporting Under a Mage and my other channel, SS Reek. But yeah, if you guys want to see that channel grow and want to help me out, go subscribe to that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, when it comes to FairyTail, there are two things that are discussed heavily when it comes to the main characters, Natsu and Lucy. Number one, ironically, is who's the real main character, because there's a lot of people who think Lucy's the main character. The story started off revolving around her. It was her dream to get into FairyTail, and we basically were following from her point of view, which is understandable. I mean, if you're looking at it from that way, I can see what they mean. I'm not going to say that's dumb, because that's obviously the logical way I look at who's the main character. But then there's people on Natsu's side who say stuff like, oh no, Natsu's definitely the main character. He's your typical generic shonen male protagonist. He has the qualities of Luffy, Goku, Naruto. He's your main character. The story revolves around his dream of him wanting to finding Neil, and not to mention the fact that he usually gives off like the final blow to all the villains. He's always giving the speeches and everything, and Natsu's basically the ideal main character. He's your typical main character, which, if you're looking at it from that way, that is also a good way. Like, that's also not a bad way to look at who's the main character is from that point of view. But me personally, and a lot of other people in the fan base, we see it as even. I don't know why, but there's some reason people, they just can't see the series having two main characters. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't finished this series, but Rave Master, from what I know, basically Hiro Mashima, if you guys don't know what Rave Master is, that's basically another series that Hiro Mashima did, where he had two female, or he had a male and a female protagonist, similar to FairyTail. So why couldn't he do it again? Like, people, they act like that the main character spot is only open for one person, but no, even though it's called main character, it's pretty much it to say that they're main characters in FairyTail. And another thing that's also heavily discussed is their deaths. Now, we know that at the end of the series, or at least we speculate at the end of the series, that one of them are going to die, whether it be Lucy sacrificing herself for Natsu, if she just dies in the middle of the war, whatever, or if it's Natsu dying trying to protect Lucy, him becoming E&D. Like, there's a lot of speculation on which one of these two will die, because it just seems fit. I don't know why. Like, it's fitting, but at the same time it's not, because you want to see these two get together and have a family, but at the same time it would be dope if one of them did end up dying. But today we're going to be discussing Lucy and if she should die. Now, I'm going to wait until I'm going to hold off on that, but let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we know that Lucy, she's had a lot of near-death experiences in the series. Number one came on very early. Hell, this was like the first arc. We seen the fake salamander versus Lucy, and let's just, even though this is more like a comedic way, it was still like very life-threatening for Lucy at the time, because we know that she was weak, she couldn't really do anything, and fake salamander basically tricked her into getting onto this boat. They said they were going to like sell her off and do all this other stuff, but that could have been like, she could have died from that situation. So right off the jump, like, Lucy, she was already in like she was already in a near-death situation. Even though not to end up saving the day, it was still a close call for that week early on Lucy. The next one is against Vulcan. Now, Vulcan basically Mac out when he was turned into that gorilla. This was probably the more serious one. Again, this was lighthearted in itself too, because there was a lot of jokes being made, Natsu kicking the monkey and all that other stuff. So it wasn't necessarily like a full-on, oh, this person is definitely going to die. It was more like a lighthearted way. So Vulcan, or Macau, whichever one you want to call it, Lucy versus Macau, Vulcan, that was definitely one of them, another near-death experience that happened early on. The next one is against the Eisenwald Guild. Now, obviously, this one would be the most serious one, because they're actually talking about killing them. We see how Eska, I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name, he's farted at this point, the flute guy, I'm just calling him the flute guy. If you guys know his name, tell me in the comment section down below. But we know that the flute guy, he was basically saying that he was going to kill off everybody. He was going to kill the guild masters, everything, and this was the most serious one out of all the encounters so far, because like I said, he was going to kill them all off. And yeah, we saw all the stuff that FairyTail had to go through. Hell, they weren't even able to stop him. It was all because of Makarov in the end. So we saw the stuff that went through when they went up against the Eisenwald Guild, and that was probably the most serious near-death experience that Lucy had in the series so far, well, in the beginning at least. Then the next one is her versus Sherry. Now this one is a little bit more on the comedic side. I mean, it was still a serious fight because we see her going up against like the little rat thing, like them in the air doing all this stuff. Like, it was a serious fight. It was probably, you could say that it was Lucy's first major single fight because she didn't really have anybody help. She defeated Sherry on her own, so that was a big thing when it came to Lucy versus Sherry. Even though it was like, you can say it's comedic because like they're like laughing, all these jokes being made, but at the end of the day, it was still her biggest fight nonetheless. Then we move on to probably the most serious one at the time, and that is against Gajio. Now, this is disrespectful to even call a fight because he basically just straight up, he beat her down. Like, it wasn't even a fair fight. Gajio, he was on par with Natsu, if not stronger than Natsu at the time, taking on Lucy, and she basically got a swift L handed to her. Like, we know that Gajio, he was going to kill her because the guild master at the time, I think his name was Jose, he wanted to keep Lucy alive to bring him back to his father, so she wasn't going to die, but he did definitely beat her down brutally, and that was definitely Lucy's scary moment when it came to her death. The next one is against Vidalius. I don't know how to pronounce his real name, aka Rockstar. I just call him Rockstar. And that's when we seen Lucy and Juvia both fighting up against them. And I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't for that Unison Ray, yeah, they probably would have got wrecked because he was basically going in on both of them. But obviously Rockstar, he wasn't even the main, he was pretty much fodder when it came to the whole Tower of Heaven arc, so I wasn't really scared for her life, but it was a life-threatening experience for Lucy. Then we move on to Big Slow, and this one's also another key fight for Lucy because this is basically her going one-on-one with one of the 4 dragons from Laxus's gang. Like, these guys were top tier, they were planning on taking on the whole FairyTail guild by themselves, and the fact that Lucy went one-on-one with one of them, that was just crazy to see, and she actually did prove herself in that fight. Even though it was looking a little bit shaky, she was still able to pull it off. And then we move on to one of the most, I guess you could say one of the most iconic moments for Lucy because we see her versus Angel, and this is basically the fight where she fights another celestial spirit mage, and this was cool at the time because I won't be honest, I didn't think there were like too many other celestial spirit mages, and to see one being evil, granted we were introduced to the one way back when they had to go and first get they first got the other celestial from the maid guy. We know that that was more of a gag thing, but Angel, she was more on a serious note. In this fight, Lucy was definitely on the edge. You know, Pixies, Gemini, they were basically, or not Pixies, I meant to say Gemini, they were basically going in on her. So yeah, that was basically Lucy's biggest moment, or probably her biggest fight up until at that moment when she fought up against Angel. And staying in this arc, we move on to Capricorn. Now Capricorn, this was when they actually fought up against a celestial spirit, and he was basically just dominating them. Of course, this is prior before we knew that he was a celestial spirit, but they was basically getting the work from him, and I was like, damn, like I was scared for not only Lucy but Grave, Loki, all of them, because none of them could do anything for him. And later when we found out that he was a celestial spirit, that's what made it even 10 times cooler, because we found out about Loki too, and we found out about Capricorn basically near the same arc, so I found that pretty dope. And then we move on to my favorite fight in this series, FairyTail versus Hades. I was about to say Lucy versus Hades, but let's be honest, it was the whole main cast of FairyTail fighting up against them. I mean, Hades, this is self-explanatory. He was way too strong for all of them. There were multiple moments where not only Lucy, but the rest of the main FairyTail characters were going to die, because let's just say if Laxus never showed up, Natsu would have been, yeah, he would have been axed. He would have been gone. Like, this is a whole bunch of moments where they would have got destroyed. All, just not Lucy, but just as a group together. And then this is probably the most worst case of luck ever, because right after they defeat Hades, they run into Agnologia, and they actually should have died on that island. Now, I'm not saying like they should have died as if like this is like a plot hole or something, but I'm saying that they should have died had it not been for Mavis showing up, because she basically saved them, taught them the whole fairy tale, hold the hands together. That's also a very controversial moment, because a lot of people are like, oh, they're just escaping through this friendship thing. Like, shut the hell up. Like, just shut the hell up. But Acnologia again. This wasn't necessarily just a Lucy thing. This was like the whole fairy tale guild at this point that were about to get taken out. That was crazy. And then we move on to Lucy versus Flare. Now this fight was basically Lucy. She got demolished. Like this was on some Godzilla level stuff. Cause like we seen her just get completely beaten down. We know the whole cheating incident with the Grand Magic games. And even though Lucy was near death, I doubt she was gonna die because of the whole magic. Just because it was the Grand Magic games. And I don't think they're going to let her kill her. But this was a huge moment for Lucy in terms of like coming near close to death, because Flare, she was a sicko at that time, and she basically wanted to kill her over having blonde hair. So yeah, that moment was spooky for Lucy. And then we move on to Lucy and Yukino versus Yosuke. Now, the reason why this one's in here, and this was with the battle, this was with the fight versus the Grand Magic Games guard, like, you know, the underground guard. And this fight was there just because before Natsu had showed up, there was no way in hell they were beating them. Like, this guy was ready to basically throw them into the lava and everything. So they got lucky that Natsu showed up. Then we move on to the Tardos arc, and this is Lucy versus Jackal. And what could I say about this fight? There was so many ups and downs. There was times I thought that Natsu died, times I thought that Happy died, hell, times where I thought that Lucy was gonna die. Like, Jackal was just giving out the work to everybody. And I mean, this was a crazy fight, and she was lucky that somebody like Natsu actually did step in and actually did save him. Now, these last two fights I'm going to mention, these are going to be spoiler for anime only. So if you guys want, you can mute the video, or you can just go ahead and keep going through. But yeah, these are basically the spoiler parts for this. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, number one is Lucy versus Agio. Now, again, this is more of like the main cast of FairyTail. They're about to all get straight up. They're about to get sand coffined by Agio, because we saw when he raised up that huge sand wall, then Laxus came in and boom, just straight up demolished it. So this wasn't necessarily just Lucy by herself, but this was more of FairyTail together. They're all about to get wrecked. And then we move on to Lucy versus Brandish, and this was an amazing fight for Lucy, because she was the big, like, the amount of underdog percentage that she had was like so small. Nobody thought she could beat Brandish, let's be honest here. But to come out here and actually put up a good fight against her, even through all the stuff they've been through, that was just so dope. But we do know that Brandish, and when she got serious, it was not looking good for Lucy, and she was lucky that that they had a connection, or she would have been toast. Now, after going through all these near-death experiences, this is a sign that Lucy, she does not have, basically, like, it's not like she's not going to ever come into danger when it comes to her life. Like, we've seen this multiple times. She's had so many close calls, but the main question that people are wondering, like, they must be thinking, okay, you just went through all the chances when she might have died. Do you think she's gonna die underrated mage? No, I don't think that Lucy is gonna die, because Lucy, she, like I said, me personally, I think that of Lucy as, when it comes to the main characters, I'll give Lucy the 1% over Natsu when it comes to who should be the main character. But at the same time, Lucy, I just don't see her dying. One, and I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but one, because she's a female main character of the series, so I don't see her dying. We know that her dream, it was pretty much something simple. Like, it's not something that you could get killed over. Granted, she does get thrown into all these situations, but we know that she just wanted to be like an author and something. So yeah, overall, do you guys think that Lucy will die at the series? Do you guys think that all these close call experiences are foreshadowing for Lucy to die? Comment what you guys think down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.